All right, how's everybody doing? Hopefully you can hear me all right. Let me know, and let me know where you're at, where you're watching from today. If you haven't been with us, this is Getting Schooled, and we're talking about weather and science lessons, and we've been, over the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about how we forecast the weather, how meteorologists forecast, and breaking it down into little chunks. And today is the day that you're going to get to create your own forecast. And I can't wait to see them, and also I'll look through those and see who's got the best forecast at the end. Hopefully we can do something. I don't know. Maybe I can send out a prize or something like that. So it'll be a lot of fun. Again, let me know where you're watching from today, and let me load up everything over here. Make sure that we're actually on and the audio's working and all that. But yeah, once again, this is Getting Schooled. And we are starting off today. We've got some really interesting weather coming our way, which is going to make this a lot of fun here for us. I was hoping that we would have, there are some forecasts that are a little bit easier than others, and some that are really tough, and some that are challenging. And I think the more challenging the forecast gets, the more fun it is to put that together. When the answer is not as easy to get to, that can make it somewhat of a fun progress. It's just like a maze trying to get through it and figure out how all that works out here. So I'm just about ready to go, just clicking on the stream here. All right, so are we good to go on the audio? Can everybody hear me okay? Just let me know. And what we're going to need to start things off is we're going to need a piece of paper. It can be construction paper, it can be computer paper, it can be notebook paper, it can pretty much be any kind of paper that you want. Not a problem at all. And then we need a pen or a pencil or something like that to get things started off, is what we need. So that's what we need to get things started off. North Baltimore. Just somebody give me an okay if the audio is working okay. I don't want to keep on going and not for everybody not be able to hear me out here. So just can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, if somebody could just write on the comment, audio's working, that would certainly be helpful. Okay, thank you very much, Mark. All right, so here we go. Today we're going to talk about forecasting. By the way, next week's going to be a lot of fun too, because we're going to talk about space weather. So the aurora, meteors, and eclipses all going to work out. And guess what? We timed the space week out on purpose because there's a meteor shower next week. So this should all hopefully work out. We'll keep our fingers crossed that the sky will be clear. But not only are we going to learn about this stuff, then you guys can actually go out and hopefully be able to observe some of this too in the night sky. So that's next week. Today is forecasting. And so the first thing that we're going to need to do, so I'll give you guys a couple minutes here, but make sure to grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, and once you've got that, what you're going to do is I want you to draw a line right down the middle of the paper. Let me see how close I can get this. But so if you take that piece of paper and fold it in half, roughly, just like that, and then open it back up, you'll have that crease line right down the middle. Basically, you're going to draw a line right where that crease is, and then draw another line. I want you to basically make 4 boxes on the bottom of that piece of paper. Let's see, the camera here is not real good, unfortunately, but if you can kind of see. So that's the bottom of the paper. So the top of the paper, what you're going to do is when we go through this, that's your note section. So anything that we talk about that you find interesting along the way, about all of our weather tools that we're going to look at today, just jot it down, write it down. In the 4 boxes on the bottom part of the paper, we're going to have Thursday, we're going to have Friday, we're going to have Saturday, and we're going to have Sunday. We're going to break it up into 4 different days here. And we're going to come up with a forecast for tomorrow, for Friday, for Saturday, and Sunday. So you get that piece of paper, you can either fold it in half like this, and then open it back up, and basically draw a line, and the top half will be your notes. The bottom half, we just need to cut that up basically into 4 boxes and then label it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in each one of those boxes. Doesn't matter which one, but on the bottom piece of that paper. So we just need a spot where we can write our forecast for each of those days, and we'll get going on that. All right, so we'll go through. The first thing that we do is we have to, when we're putting a forecast together, and I talked about this last week, we have to know what the weather's doing right now before we can ever get going. So we start looking at our tools, and we go outside, we observe, we know that it's getting kind of cloudy. I was talking this morning about maybe there being some rain and snow, so we're going to look and see where that's at. But here's the almanac. Our average high this time of the year is 60 degrees. Our average low is almost 40. That's normal. We're nowhere close to that. For the last 24 hours, we've been as warm as 39. We were down to 26 degrees this morning. We came 6 degrees within our record low, so it's been really cold. That's kind of the information that we need to get going. We're right at our high right now today for 39. So these are our current temperatures around the area. It's 39 in Toledo. It's a little colder over towards Hillsdale. It's 41 in Upper Sandusky, 45. It's a little warmer there in Fremont. So this is what we're dealing with to start things off. As we get the day started off, we're looking at those temperatures that are certainly cold. Okay, so now we want to look kind of around the area. What's the weather that's going to be coming our way over the next 24 hours? Our winds have been generally west to east. So you can see it's still cold off to the west. It's kind of pushing in some of that colder air. So that gives us some hints on what's to come. We know that colder air is going to continue to kind of push this way. And it is certainly not that warm back to the west. Okay, so here's our radar that we're looking at. And already in parts of the area, we've got some of those snow showers that are trying to develop. Most of the snow that is actually developing for today that's reaching the ground right now is back out here towards the west. So we can see that there is some snow there already on the radar screen. Satellite showing clouds, so it's cloudy. We can see that by going outside. We can observe that by looking at the clouds. And then if we zoom out, we can see that there's clouds here, but there's more clouds back to the west. And so that gives us some idea of what's to come later in that forecast. This is the water vapor imagery. We showed this last week. It's one of our tools that we get to use. But I want to point something out because this is going to be the big tricky thing that we're looking at in our forecast. You see that storm developing out towards Montana, so the blues there. That means there's a lot of moisture with this storm, and it's developing out there. It's going to swing on through as we head throughout the next couple of days. So that's kind of the big thing that we're watching. You see out towards Idaho and Montana, there's some snow there, and there's some snow here at home that's trying to move in too. So we've got that for today, but if we're looking forward, we know that there's something else coming that we're going to get the forecast for. All right, so this is one of our computer models that we have here at the TV station. So I want to show you this first. This is our predictor. And you can see that we've got a little bit of snow today, a little bit of rain, maybe even a chance of a thunderstorm in the eastern part of the area, and that moves on out. And here's where things get important for you because we're going to start forecasting with tomorrow first for Thursday. And this computer model shows as we go into Thursday, it is going to be bright and sunny. And then you can see some of that snow trying to develop going into Friday. That's that storm system out towards Montana that's trying to move our way. And it shows heavier snow right around the time that we wake up on Friday morning. And so that's our computer model here. But I want to take you over to the weather maps that we've got because we've talked a lot about these weather maps too. And looking at this is what's happening right now. So that snow that is about to come into the area, that's off to the west. But here's that storm out towards Montana. You can see it really well here. And so this is the cold front. We talked about the low pressure yesterday and how important that is. Well, there's your low pressure right in the middle of that, and look at all the snow around it because that air is going up and it's rising. All right, so let's go ahead and move this forward, and we'll look at what's to come here. And you can see this is later today, some rain and snow for us, but we're more focused on what's to come because we want to put a forecast together for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And this is showing that the storm keeps moving south and east. This is tomorrow. Now tomorrow, look at this. We talked about high pressure too and how nice the weather is. So that might be a clue of what's going to happen tomorrow because this is showing that big high pressure coming in and almost sitting right on top of us. So that is a clue that we may have some nice weather tomorrow. That low pressure gets down to the panhandle of Texas. Look at all that snow out there. That's a lot of snow that's showing up on that weather map. And so this is tomorrow in the morning. This is tomorrow night, and it shows a little bit of rain into Indiana. And now this is going into Friday morning. And so now that storm is starting to move right into Arkansas, that's where the low pressure is. The front comes up towards the north, and then that puts us in a good spot here for precipitation, and which would be snow if it's cold enough. So this is going into Friday morning. So we've looked at that. Let's go over and take a look at this computer model. And I showed you guys this last week, and actually that was some of the first hints. You guys were asking, like, is it going to snow? Because you could see that blue there. We were going out more than a week, and guess what? That computer model that we looked at last week actually was showing us and giving us some hints that this might actually happen way ahead of time. So it's done a really good job. So let's go ahead and look at that same computer model again. And so this is for today. You see that, oh, by the way, I need to point in where we're at here because that's kind of tough to make out. So this circle, that's Toledo, and then this is southeast Michigan and northwest Ohio. That's us. We're in that little bullseye there. Let me go back and roll through this. I'll put in the circle again of where we're at. But this is tomorrow, and you can see that there's no rain or snow here yet. But then going into Friday morning, this is going into Friday morning, and that's not just snow, but this computer model is showing heavy snow getting into Friday morning and then into Friday afternoon. So there's our circle again. And you can see the southern part of the area has a little bit of rain. It's trying to get in here. So it's going to be a close call. But then there's snow for the northern part of the area as it tries to warm up. Now that's on Friday. All right, I'm going to take my box off again. I'll take us out a little bit farther. And you can see Saturday looks okay, looks fine. And then going into Sunday, this computer model has just a few more showers. So here's our little box again. And you can see that green, that indicates that there's a chance of rain, and that's on Sunday. All right? So those are some of our clues of what might happen. Now, let's talk about the snow, because I'm going to show you some different computer models. They don't all agree. And this is where things get challenging. This is where things get fun. Here's our little box again of what's going on. And this purple and this blue, that's the snow that's taking place. I'm going to take that off. And it shows for Toledo 2 inches of snow. It shows nothing south of Toledo. And then it shows some heavy snow. Let's actually go and see if it'll pop it up. It doesn't show it. This is up in Hillsdale County. This computer model is showing over 6 inches of snow. Now that's the first computer model. Look at the second computer model. It's not as heavy, but it's farther south. There's our box again. And that spot there for Toledo says 4.5 inches of snow. And lighter totals north and south, but a little heavier to the west right there in northern Indiana. So there's that box again, and that purple is the heaviest stuff. All right, so we have 2 different computer models on the snow. They don't agree, but they're close in the shape. So here's the first one, and here's the second one. And see how there's a little shift in that storm track. So this is where things get a little tricky on coming up with our forecasts to figure out what's going to happen here, which makes it fun. All right, so let's go and take a look here at, I think I've got them all pulled up. All right, so get your sheet back out. And if you've been taking notes, that's good. But you should have a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday box on that forecast. And if you don't have it yet, it's okay. Get your paper out and make your boxes again. So it doesn't really matter, even if you don't have the boxes, just as long as you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday written down. And this is where you get to come up with your forecasts. And so we've gone through our weather maps. You can kind of see that storm coming. Remember the high pressure that's trying to come in for tomorrow. There's some higher pressure trying to come in for Saturday. So I'm going to run through and I'm going to show you the numbers for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And this is exactly what I was looking at this morning when I was trying to come up with my forecast. Is I was looking at all the satellites, looking at radar, I was looking at how that storm was coming together. But then I was going and looking at the computer models, our big super weather calculator that is putting out a bunch of forecasts and we try to go sort through it and try to see what makes the most sense. So this is Thursday. What do you think is going to happen? We have one computer model that says it's going to be sunny tomorrow and a high of 47 degrees. Another computer model says it's not going to be sunny. It's going to be mostly cloudy with a high of 45. And then we've got another computer model that says partly cloudy, high of 44. Another one says mostly cloudy, high of 45. And the last two computer models say it's going to be partly cloudy. One says 46 and the other says 42. All right, so you're the forecaster for tomorrow. What do you think the high temperature is going to be? And what do you think the sky condition is going to be? And by the way, let me explain this too, because a lot of adults get this very confusing on the difference between partly cloudy and mostly cloudy. Sunny means the whole sky is full of sunshine. Mostly sunny means almost the entire sky is full of sunshine. Cloudy means the sky is cloudy. Mostly cloudy means almost the whole sky is mostly cloudy. But partly cloudy means that it's about half and half. It's a mix. So if you see partly cloudy, that's about half and half clouds and half sunshine, roughly. So tomorrow we got sunshine. We've got 3 computer models say partly cloudy, 2 say mostly cloudy. So 3 say partly cloudy, 2 say mostly cloudy, 1 says there isn't going to be any clouds, it's going to be totally sunny. And then the highs tomorrow, one computer model, we got 42, 44, 2 that say 45, a 46, and a 47. And so it looks like some comments coming in. Jennifer, I am going to show you the green wall today. I've got that set up, so we will definitely get to that here coming up a little bit later on. Just saw that comment come in, but I'm going to lead, before we get to the questions today, I'm going to show you all about the green wall. But so go ahead and write down what you think. I'll give you about a minute or so. Under Thursday, do you think, what do you think the sky is going to be? Is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be cloudy? Is it going to be raining? What do you think is what's going to happen tomorrow? And where do you think the high temperature is going to be for tomorrow? You can go ahead and write that down. All right. And if you have questions again on Thursday, we can come back to it later, or you can always rewatch this video later on. Let's go to Friday. Friday is the really tricky day to put a forecast together. So this is what our computer models have got. That first computer model, and I showed you a couple of these over here already, but one computer model says it's going to be snowing, and there's going to be a lot. It says 5.6 inches of snow, between 5 and 6 inches. That's what one computer model says. And it says a high of 34 degrees. That's cold. That is a wintry day. Another computer model, and I showed this one already, shows a high of 34 also, but it shows 4.5 inches of snow. One computer model says it's not going to snow at all. It's going to rain. It's going to rain instead. There's not going to be any snow. It's going to rain the entire time. It has a high of 44. Another computer model says it's going to snow 2 inches, and I showed you this one over here just a few minutes ago. It says 2 inches of snow with a high of 41. Another computer model says 2.8 inches, and a high of 37. And the last computer model says barely anything, just a dusting or a coating of snow at a high around 40 degrees. So I want you to determine, is it going to rain? Is it going to snow? Or is it just going to be cloudy? What's it going to do? And if you think it's going to snow, tell me how much. Write down on your sheet that you've got, write it down how much you think it's going to snow. So this is where it gets tricky. We've got some computer models that say it's not going to snow at all. Other computer models say it's going to snow a lot. And then you've got a lot that are just kind of in between there. So 2 computer models say 34. One says 37. We've got one says 40, 41, and another 44 for a high. That's a 10-degree difference. That's significant. That's a big range, 34 to 44 degrees. That's a big range of the temperatures. So I'll give you a couple minutes on that one. But under Friday, write down if you think what do you think it's going to happen with the sky condition? Is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be cloudy? Is it going to rain? Is it going to snow? If you think it's going to snow, write down how much you think, and then also write down your high temperature that you've got for Friday. All right, I'll give it probably another 30 seconds or so, and then we'll move on. This is definitely the trickiest day out of that 4-day forecast that we're putting together right now. There's no doubt about it. I spent probably...
Jason Clarko to the rack room, please. Jason Clarko to the rack room.
I probably spent maybe 80% of my time, 75, maybe 75%. The majority of my time this morning was just on Friday and all the details to it. There's a lot of information to look at. So again, the first computer model, 5.6 inches, 4.5 inches on number 2. Number 3 says it's not going to snow at all. It's going to rain. And then the last couple computer models are all under 3 inches. Temperatures range from 34 to 44. So go ahead and write down on your paper what you think. We'll move on to Saturday. Saturday was a day that looked like there was some higher pressure that was going to try to build in. I've only have 4 computer models on Saturday and Sunday because the farther out you go, we start to get less and less data and less computer models that we're able to use. So the closer in time we are, we have lots of weather information. The farther out we go, we start to have less and less. So on Saturday, we have 1 computer model that says mostly sunny. The next says sunny. The next one says mostly sunny, and then the last one says sunny. So 2 say mostly sunny, and 2 say sunny. The highs range all over the place, so from 43 to 50 is the range there. We have 2 that say 50 degrees, 1 that says 47, and a third that says 43. So go on Saturday, write down what you think will happen on the sky condition. If it's sunny, if it's cloudy, if it's raining or snowing or whatever you think is going to happen Saturday, and then write down the temperature that you think that the high temperature will get up to. And I'll give it about another 20 seconds or so on this one. And then we'll move on to our last day in our forecast. All right, just make sure to write it all down because I want you guys at the end when we're done to be able to take pictures, and whoever's got the best forecast, I want to do something for you. Maybe I can send out a prize or mail it to you or something like that. So once we get the forecast done, make sure that you or mom or dad or somebody takes a picture of it, send it to me somehow, and we'll keep track of it and see how things go. And it's part of the fun. And this whole forecast process, you end up learning as you go, which is a lot of fun. Okay, moving on to Sunday. It's our last day here. So we've got 4 computer models, just like we did for Saturday. The first one says rain with a high of 57. The next one says a little drizzle and a high of 56. So just a little itty bitty amount of rain there. Number 3 says it's not going to rain, but it's going to be cloudy, and we'll have a high of 58. And the last computer model says it's not going to be cloudy. It's not going to rain. I like this computer model. We'll just have to wait and see if it's right or not, but I like the computer model. It says it's going to be mostly sunny all day on Sunday, and it has a high of 57. So the temperatures don't really range that much. They go anywhere from 56 to 58 for a high, but they do range quite a bit on what's going to happen, whether it's going to rain, just a little bit of rain, clouds, or lots and lots of sunshine. So that's a pretty big range there. So go ahead and write Sunday down also, and go ahead and make sure, I see some comments coming in, which is great, no problem with that. But make sure you write it down on your sheet too for Sunday. So again, high temperature, the computer models go anywhere from 56 to 58, and then anywhere from rain, drizzle, clouds, or sunshine. Pretty much just runs all over the place on what could happen for Sunday. I'll give it just a few more seconds here. All right. So before we get to the questions today, because I've had a lot of questions about the green wall, and it took me a while to figure out how to do this, but we were able to go back over. I know it's a computer model right now. Let me go back over and flip it over. And I want to show you how we do the weather here with the green wall. There we go. All right, so we've got the camera set up. So here I am. By the way, got my tennis shoes on today. You like those? Can you see them? This is our green wall that we've got and how we do the weather. So the monitor that you see, so what's happening right here, what you're seeing is that we've got, I showed you those cameras yesterday that are kind of lined up. And I've got this right here. Let's see if you can see what I'm pointing at. This camera that's kind of blocking me now completely. This is the one that is actually on me when I'm doing the weather. And then I've got the monitor right in front that I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at the camera, I can actually look right at the monitor and see what I'm looking at. But then as I look over and point over, so this is the green wall. I'm kind of looking this direction and pointing, but instead of actually looking at the green, kind of looks like I'm looking at the green here, I'm actually looking right over at this monitor that is just off the screen, but you can see the other one that's hanging off of the wall. And so the same thing, when I'm looking at the green wall, I'm pointing right at this monitor right here. So I can see what's happening with this monitor. There's another one just like it on the other side. And then right in front of me, I've got another monitor. So even though you can't see these monitors, they're just off of the frame that we typically show. I've got one to the left, one to the right, one right in the middle. And this is a big green wall. Even with the whole 6 feet of social distancing, if we wanted, we could have one person over here and one person over here. This is very, very large green wall. The largest I've ever had in my 15-year career. And for some spots, it's nothing more than just a sheet of blue or green that might be like that wide, not all that much. So this is really kind of a neat thing to have with our green wall. And by the way, this works the same way that really works the same way as a lot of these movies that are put together too, which is pretty neat. That color green, if I were to wear green when I was over there, you would not see me. I would just kind of blend in. Our camera that you saw is programmed that anything that is that color green is going to put the weather map on top of that. So because the green's behind me, I'm in front of the weather maps. That's how it works. Pretty neat. All right, so let's move on to questions. And again, if you want to go back and look at any of the computer models or do it on your own or look at any other weather tools, feel free to do so. You want to go back and look at this video clip after it's done and look at all those model numbers even more, great. Once you've got that done, hopefully sometime today, you can't wait until Friday after it's done snowing and then know what the answer is, right? That'd be cheating. But I'd love to see them. I really would. I'd love to see all of the forecast sheets that you have. Send a picture, give me your name, and even like an email address or something like that, some way to get a hold of you. Again, if the best forecast that comes out of this bunch, I want to do something for, maybe send a little prize or something like that in the mail. So I think this will be a lot of fun to kind of see where things go with it, but make sure you send that to me today if you can, so we can get those, and I've got all of them ready to go, and keep watching the weather and see how things go here over the coming days. It'll be fun to see. If you think you throw down a forecast on the snow, or maybe you think it's not going to snow at all, it'll be interesting to see how that evolves as we get closer to Friday. And is it going to rain Sunday? Well, it depends on what weather map you look at on whether it's going to actually rain or not. So anyways, let's go ahead and go over the questions here and see what you guys, any question about today or any other question that pertains to weather is certainly good to go. Jennifer asking, what do we use the green wall for? We use that for any time that we're in front of our weather maps. We use the green wall for it. So we could do other things with it. In fact, sometimes our anchors, not anymore with, right now everybody kind of has their certain spot in the studio that they're at and they don't move around a whole lot. But before, when we had a lot of anchors and reporters and everybody kind of moving around a lot, we'd have some people use the green wall and stand in front of maybe news graphics for that. Our traffic person, Eric, he'll come in and he'll might stand in front of it and point to some graphics and stuff like that, and we'll do the same thing. So it's certainly very nice. Do I own a green suit? I do not. Several years ago, oh my, this has been 12, 13 years ago, I think. My wife made me basically a green, not a suit, but it was a sheet that was able to fit over my suit. And when I was working in West Virginia on Halloween, I decided to have a little fun with it, and I went in front of the wall doing weather like everything was normal. But then I put that on real quick, and I had a floating head and floating hands all around. And so I was kind of pointing to the weather maps with my head, and I was pointing to things with just my hands, and it looked like my hands were cut off and moving all over the place. So that was fun. So I had that for a while, then I gave it to another meteorologist so he could use it at some point. So I don't have a green suit or anything like that anymore, but that's the problem with St. Patrick's Day. We can't wear green, and we get pinched all the time because we go in front of the wall, and then, you can't see us. So We get in trouble if we do that, but we get in trouble if we wear green when we get pinched. So we can't win on St. Patrick's Day. Let's see here. On some of the questions, how long does it normally take to make a forecast? Kenzie was asking about this. This is a great question because on a day to where things aren't changing a whole lot and we're really calm and maybe it's summertime and we're kind of in a drought or a real dry-like pattern, it usually doesn't take a whole lot of time because when we look at these computer models, things don't change a whole lot if the weather conditions aren't going to change from day to day. So there may only be some minor things that we have to really kind of dig in and look at. On a day like today, I was looking at weather data for, a long time and even tweaking these weather maps all the way through the show because there'd be things that I would still start to think about even during the show and during some of the weather hits, and I'd go back and look at new data. I had new data coming in during the middle of the morning show today. So even though our morning show started at 4:30, and even though I got in here about 3 o'clock to start that forecast process, in some ways you're never really done because I was updating things all the way through the show. And once I get done here, what I'm going to do is I got another weather map that's coming in right now, and I'll just let it come in. I'll look at the data when I'm done here in about 10 more minutes and see if there's anything to refresh that forecast with before we go on to the noon show. So it's a kind of a constant a battle, but there are times where we may take an hour or two and really kind of dive in and look at a lot of this stuff. And then there are times where, honestly, we might be able to put things together in a 15-minute time frame. So it really depends on what's going on. It also depends if it's, say, a Monday or if you've been off for a week for vacation and you're not really up to speed on stuff. It's another if it's Thursday and you've been able to look at stuff multiple times during the day, every day through the week, and you're kind of looking at some changes and looking at specific things that might kind of change that forecast. So that's a really good question. Amanda asking, do you keep track of how accurate and precise you predicted the weather for each weather forecaster there? Well, let me show you something if I can. Yeah, 1 second. I know I just walked off the camera, but we have a forecast sheet each day. Take a look at this stack of papers. There's probably thousands of them in here. These are all forecast sheets. Well, my goodness, I don't know. Let's see how far back it goes. We've got all of our forecasts that are in here. We'll look back at it. We'll try to keep track of it. When I first started my career as a meteorologist, I was very careful. Every single forecast I basically graded myself. I did this for 2 or 3 years anyways, to see when things were off, why they were off, and I would try to learn from that. You start to get better as you go along, but especially snow forecasts and stuff that are really tricky. I mean, we just went through the snow forecast. We're 2 days away. This really isn't that complicated of a snow forecast compared to some that we've had this winter, and yet you still saw how the computer models were anywhere from like 0 to 5.5 inches of snow. That's a massive difference. So trying to narrow things down sometimes becomes a really complicated process. We want to learn as much as we possibly can. And if the forecast doesn't go well, we definitely want to go back and learn and understand why that didn't go the way it does. And no, we don't throw these out, and we do it for a reason. There are times where sometimes we'll go back and take a look at how things were forecast in a certain way. And I know Heather she's very careful on going through and trying to look at her own forecasts and kind of putting it on a grading scale and understanding how things are going. So this is, let's see, this goes back, I just went halfway through the stack and we're at 2018. So we're putting at least 2 of these forecasts together every single day, holidays, everything. So what does that come to? Almost more than 730 forecasts in a year. So I just went back 2 years worth of time. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is all 2020, 2019, 2018. That is 1 out of 3 big stacks that we've got over there of all forecast sheets right there. So yeah, we definitely keep track of it and try to learn from those forecasts. I think that learning from yourself and having that experience is where you end up learning the most. And it's a fun way to learn too. All right, let's see some other questions here. Courtney, you can send it. You can send the forecast to. You can send it in a variety of ways. You can post it right here as a comment. You can go to my Facebook page as meteorologist Ross Ellett, and you can send it to me there in a private message. You can attach it here to this video clip that I'm about to share there, or you can email it to me. That's totally fine. So my email address is ross.ellett@13abc.com. So I'll run through that slower. It's ROSS, then dot Ellett, ELLET, at 13abc.com. So if you want to email it to me that way, you definitely can. You can send it to me just as in a picture, as an attachment. Let me know your name. Let me know if you can send an email address. That would be fantastic. Some way that I can get in contact with you would be very, very helpful. Let's see. Muhammad says, why are there so many TVs? You're right, there are a lot of TVs here, aren't there? See, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, plus all the other monitors. My goodness, we probably have 30 in the studio. The monitors there's a lot of different things. One, for us, we have TVs that you're seeing at home. So we know that if we can see that, we know that you guys can see our signal at home. We have TVs that are used, or what we call monitors, that we can preview things that are going to happen coming up in some of the next shots. For forecasters, we can look at the screen and point to our weather graphics. Some of them are to look nice back behind us. That's kind of what their job is back behind us, is to look nice. And this one right here we've got a couple that are interactive too. We can draw on them, and they kind of help us describe things for the newscast, whether it be weather or maybe a news anchor or somebody like that is going to use that. So how accurate is the computer's forecast for the next day? Usually it's pretty good. Connie was asking about this. Usually the forecast for the next day is good, but you're always going to see some fluctuation in there. So I think we had, a 2, 3 degree, 4 degree temperature difference or something like that still in the computer models tomorrow. I mean, that's not a significant difference, but that's still a difference that can make an impact. So usually it's pretty good, but there's always a little bit of wiggle room in there to where sometimes it's not as much. All right, so if you're watching the news at home, it shows like somebody in Ohio, and like 5 minutes later, they're in Maine. To use the green wall for that. Okay, so I think what you're referring to on that one is, no, it's a little different. That would be like, we'll have different reporters. We have our reporters here at the station, so they're going to go out in the local community. So we might have Christina Williams out in Maumee reporting live, and we may have Michael Bratton out or Mackenzie Keyline out in a different spot around the area, maybe Napoleon, maybe Findlay. But then for different spots around the country, those will be usually ABC reporters, and they'll put their story together. And how we get that is actually through a big satellite dish. They'll complete that. They'll send it through a satellite dish. It goes all the way up into space, and then it comes down to us. That's one way we can get it, although nowadays most stuff is right through the internet, quite honestly. So they can send it that way too. But no, that's a little different. They're actually there. They're actually there in Maine. They're not just in front of the green wall making it look like that they're there. But that's a good question. Okay, sounds good, everybody. Make sure to send me your forecast. Take a picture of it. Have mom or dad take a picture of it. Some way to get in contact with you, and then also your name. Make sure you've got that there as well. And we'll see how everybody does. And if you want to go back and look at the video clip again and look at some of the weather data, feel free to do so. I'll make sure I post it right now.